Hey, I'm Steve Mignonti here at SEMA Central with Vic Bennett, chair of the SEMA MRN, which of course is the Manufacturers Representative Network. And what's your job description? What do you do?
So what I am the chairman. I just became the chairman this July. So what I do is I just kind of help all the select committee members, just kind of like guide our ship and help them whichever way I can and support them in the efforts that they use and the tasks that they lead on. So,
what are some of the key challenges? You know, the aftermarket is a wide and varied thing. What are some of the biggest challenges to people involved in this?
Well, a lot of it is the Manufacturers Rep Network. So we represent a handful of manufacturers. Some reps represent more manufacturers than others. So it really boils down to time, but a lot of the challenge is customer consolidation, also with consolidations of vendors. So that's the challenges that we're facing with the compression in our industry.
Yeah. And do you have a lot of interest in cars yourself? How did you get started with automobiles?
Well, the way I got started, I kind of grew up, I was a truck guy. So my first vehicle was a truck, and had a 1970 Chevy pickup. The first thing I did was get it painted, put new wheels on it, get the inside redone. So I've always been a truck guy.
Yeah, my first SEMA was back in 1998. I was at Hot Rod Magazine. I was wet behind the ears. And I came here and was blown away by the size of this thing. It continues to grow. I think the first SEMA was back in 1962, somewhere around there. It's been a while.
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. What do you see for the future of SEMA?
Well, you know, I think you look at the show, it keeps getting bigger every year. You look at the tent out past the South Hall, all the new exhibitors that they have, a lot of young, new, energetic people that are getting involved in the industry. So I think it's going to continue to grow and get bigger and stronger. You know,
speaking of the young audience, what's the best way to get them involved and bring them into the fold? What do you think?
Into the MRN?
Yes.
Okay, so what we do, you know, the MRN's a collection of 500 plus reps throughout the country, actually throughout the world. So what we do, a lot of it is personal, you know, knowing other people, inviting them into the MRN. I remember the first council meeting I went to, it was this group of guys that just, you know, like kind of did all this stuff, and I was very intrigued by it. I'm a servant at heart, so I really like to get in and plug in. So I think it's just basically that personal invitation, and that's how our select committee we've invited in this. But it's open to anybody that wants to join as a manufacturer's rep, and we encourage people to be involved on our select committee, but also to you know, be a member at large and get involved on some network options that they're passionate about.
Yeah, networking is a key thing. Now, of course, the advent of social media in the last 10 years or so, that's changed really the dynamic of how this goes. What advice would you give to an up-and-comer to best take advantage of social media?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think with social media is the younger crowd is definitely much better at it than they are. You know, they kind of tell their story. I have two daughters, 19 and 16, and they live on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, all that. So a lot of people are really good at using that. I find a lot of older reps are starting to use that. So it's a great way to tell your message about your company, you know, what your passions are, what your interests are. You know, the thing I think with social media, you can tell your story, tell your life, and connect with other people that have the same interests as you.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, do you find, you know, government, of course, you know, that sometimes we have anti-emissions and that kind of trouble. Do you guys work with government legislatures to keep them in the right frame of mind about the aftermarket and stuff? Do you involve yourself with that?
Well, there are parts of the manufacturers that works in that, but there are some reps that get involved outside of or within SEMA with the government affairs, working on the RPM Act, I think is what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
well, great. Now, I got to say, in this day and age, you know, we have cars that make 707 horsepower. You know, back in the 80s, I remember when the IROC Z had 230 horsepower. I mean, how do you feel about the advent of just the horsepower we have on tap these days? It's amazing, right?
It is really amazing. I mean, really my specialty is more in the truck accessories, but you know, like some of the speed stuff, it's just amazing how with technology, how they really can get a lot more horsepower out of vehicles, and they're going faster, performing better. I mean, I'd love to drive one of those cars on the street, but I think it's just going to get better and stronger.
I know with trucks, I mean, the advent of the turbo diesel and, you know, having 1,000 foot-pounds of torque on board is not uncommon.
Right.
You know, I remember back in the 70s, a 454, 3/4 ton Chevy was a big deal.
Yeah,
you know, a 440 and a Dodge pickup. Now the diesel thing is amazing. You guys embrace the diesels in a big way, of course.
For sure. Oh yeah. I mean, I remember when diesels became the big thing with like Edge marketing and Hypertech and that thing, and it was just amazing. You know, you see these diesel drag races, and diesels dragging Mustangs and things like that. It's just crazy.
And beating them.
And beating them, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so well, Vic Bennett, thank you very much for being with us here at SEMA Central. And how can our viewers learn more about you and your business?
You bet. So if you just go to the SEMA website, there's a link if you go in and you can connect directly with the MRN. And that's a great way to get involved.
Yeah, well, there's more to come here at SEMA Central. Stick around.
Thank you very much.